Patriots, who drafted in volume, a
They sure
team that
did.
is trying to get on the rise. They found their franchise quarterback last year, we think, after losing Tom Brady. Since Brady's been gone, things have been a little bleak there. But their fourth pick was the one where we were waiting to see, will they do the chalk move? And they did, which was smart, in my opinion. So they take Will Campbell, tackle at LSU, the number one tackle for the consensus perspective, at pick 4 to protect Drake May.
A little bleak since Brady is a little bit generous. I will say it's been probably pretty bleak for them since Brady. But yeah, I mean,
They enjoyed 6 Super Bowls, so
yeah,
they'll be
true.
fine.
They'll be fine. But yeah, dude, Will Campbell again, kind of like the Jets, a similar analysis. They didn't really screw it up, and I think the Patriots, it was even more important they didn't screw this up because their offensive
Yeah.
line is atrocious, probably the worst in the NFL before what they did in the offseason. And drafting Will Campbell could fix that with one single pick, could completely fix arguably the most important position on the offensive line, which is left tackle. So yeah, I love it, man. I think I agree. He's probably the best tackle in the class. I understand why they took it, despite the arm length questions and the wingspan questions. I think a lot of that's overblown to begin with, and specifically for Will Campbell, which he literally just got a bad measurement at the combine. So
Yeah.
I think they nailed the first round pick, man. They did. Will Campbell was the correct pick, and now can protect Drake May.
Yeah, and they needed to, because he played really well last year with an offensive line, to your point, that was probably the worst in the NFL, up there with like the Titans. So it's really hard to evaluate your young quarterback when he is getting half a second to throw every down. So had to protect him, which they continued doing in the third round with their 2/3. They ended up getting Jared Wilson in the third. They signed Garrett Bradbury to come in at center in the offseason, but they could draft Jared Wilson, who's center, but could easily plug him in at one of the guards. So made those moves on the offensive line. Got Morgan Moses, the journeyman, to play tackle 2.
The great
So
Morgan
beefing up
Moses.
that offensive line was an absolute necessity.
Yeah, man, it was, and they attacked it hard, dude. And I think Jared Wilson will absolutely start. That's one of my favorite picks
Yeah.
in this draft. One of the reasons I really like this draft because they got a potential starting guard with their second, third round pick. So loved that pick, and the value they got it. I mean, just compared to all the other teams that were drafting interior offensive linemen, it feels like this is one of the few teams that didn't overpay for one, to be honest. They got Jared Wilson right around the place I would have loved to draft Jared Wilson. And this is like one of the few teams he would have started for as well. So I just really, really loved that pick. And did they completely fix the offensive line? No, but it's in a so much better situation. Now, a lot of that is going to be dependent on Will Campbell, obviously. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of it's going to be dependent on if he's good or not. But if he's good, man, this could all of a sudden turn a weakness into a strength of the team. So, love what they did on the offensive line.
Yeah. They grabbed Marcus Bryant in the 7th round as well. It's kind of funny how many teams had like a top prospect, both LSU and Missouri, with Kai's top 7, but then also had other guys go. So they get Marcus Bryant out of Missouri to be a developmental guy for them as well, continue to add depth. And then the 2nd round, everybody thought they were going to take a running back. It was a matter of which one. They take Travion, the 3rd running back, off the board. Most people's consensus, I think, 3rd running back, and I think on the big board he was as well. Very, very interesting running back prospect. Out of Ohio State, has a pretty versatile skill set. He has some of those moments in games where, and against our Vols in the playoff game, he did it, where he had one of those just one cut, I'm gone moments. Got the athleticism, 4.43 speed. He's 5'10", 202. He's got some power to him. And then the clip you sent, which you'll probably touch on, pass blocking.
Yes, man. Probably the best pass blocking running back in this draft class. Honestly, probably the most complete running back in this entire
Yeah,
draft class, man.
that's fair.
I just don't know where his holes are in his game. He just does everything really well. And yeah, it's an early 2nd round pick, but they probably got their starting running back of the future. Like I would not be surprised at all if he took over Steven's job pretty early on into the season. So yeah, I love Travion as a prospect, and I love him on the Patriots, man. I just think it's a great pick. And if I want to complain a little bit, I could say, well, you could have taken a receiver there, and I think they probably still need a little bit more investment in receiver. But hey, they answered that question in the third round with Kyle Williams. I think Kyle Williams is a guy that will come in and play immediately, will make an impact on this team immediately, and maybe that's why I like some of the I love the Patriots draft, I love the Browns draft, and maybe it's because like these bad teams are getting starters in the third round. But I also think Kyle Williams is good, like really good value in the third round. I really do. So because like this is probably like a second round level talent. So yeah, man, loved those offensive picks.
Yeah, it's one of those again. What would you rather have? They could have Luther Burden goes one pick after Travion at 39. So it's like, would you rather had Luther at 39 and then a running back in the third, or Travion and Kyle Williams? So maybe don't play those what if games. But I do completely agree. I love Kyle Williams. I think I've talked about it before in some of the other quick recap stuff we've done, but I think he's just one of the best separators in this class. And that is something that just translates so well to the NFL. From a projection perspective, pressure rate for edges is one of those things that typically translates well. And then separation. A thing that I think got undervalued in the NFL for a while, where like Quentin Johnston, for example, where we draft guys like him in the first that if you can't get open, it doesn't really matter how good you are, because you got to be able to get the ball in your hands. So love that for Drake May, getting a guy like him that can run those digs, run those routes to get him open, some crossers, and make the route running and get separation. So desperately needed a weapon for Drake May. And I love Kyle Williams there.
No doubt, dude. And it's also, we love themes, or at least I love themes for drafts. And very clear theme in this draft: when you spend 4 of your first 4 picks on offensive talent, they believe in their rookie quarterback, man. They believe in Drake May. They think they hit on him. And I agree with them. I think despite having possibly the worst situation out of the rookie quarterbacks last year, I think that's pretty clear that he was in the worst position. He looked amazing, dude. He looked really good despite having such a bad team around him. And so they're trying to fix that. And I think they did, man. I think they nailed these first 4 picks.
Yeah, completely agree. And then they take Craig Woodson, safety out of Cal. Fourth round, decent athlete, could potentially, compete for some starting reps, at safety. Like the Joshua Farmer pick in the 4th round. Defensive tackle out of Florida State. That was another one of those good value where he was a bit higher on the consensus. And then a fantastic pick in the 5th, which there may have been some chirping at coaches thing involved. We don't get into that. But Braden Swinson, the edge rusher at LSU, who was way higher on the consensus as well. Some people loved him and were even trying to hype him into the first before the draft. So go 3 straight defensive players with those next few picks in the 4th and 5th rounds.
I mean, Braden Swinson in the 5th round is fantastic value, man.
Love it.
A lot of people had him right around the 2nd round range, and you get him all the way in the 5th. This is a guy that could come in and play immediately for them. Had a 91.4 pass rush grade for PFF last year and a 22.1% pass rush win rate. I mean, those are insane numbers, dude. And the SEC, like this is not like a Mike Green situation where you're playing at Marshall and you have competition question marks. This is a LSU edge rusher, dude. I mean, he's playing the toughest competition in college football and posting these insane production numbers. Getting that in the 5th round, I cannot like the Patriots are just killed this draft, dude. I mean, this is one of the best drafts in the NFL, and Braden Swinson is a big part of that, dude. I mean, a guy that I think will make an impact on that defense immediately. I mean, they just signed Harold Landry. I think Braden Swinson is already better than Harold Landry, dude. Like the guy they just paid big money for. So like I could definitely see him coming in and starting immediately.
Yeah, and it's nice to get guys like that in there that if after year or 2 things aren't going great with Harold Landry, you've got the young guy now to kind of step in because, Patriots fans, Harold Landry is what he is. He's a cleanup guy. He's pressure rate's not great. Honestly, it's pretty low. So having a guy that's kind of the opposite of that, to your point, Austin, that has that high pressure rate, that's what you look for, and that projects pretty well. So he'll probably be an impact player pretty early on for that Pats defense. Rounding out the rest of their draft, they kind of went off the rails because they had so many picks, I guess. They drafted a kicker out of Miami in the 6th. Marcus Bryant, like I mentioned earlier. Oh, they draft a long snapper in the 7th. I would love to know how many teams would have ever even considered drafting him. That is what it is. And then they had Mr. Irrelevant, Kobe
They did.
Minor. Yeah, corner out of Memphis to be Mr. Irrelevant to round out their class.
Now, they missed a pretty prime opportunity here, Dakota, to make a long snapper Mr.
Snapper
Irrelevant.
Mr.
Like, come on, man. Like, first of all, Kobe Minor has no confidence because his own team took a long snapper before him. And second of all, who's going to take this long snapper before Mr. Irrelevant? No, the answer is no one was going to do that. So, like, yeah, thankfully they had so many picks, and like this doesn't really drop them as far as like a grade would be concerned. But if they didn't have a lot of picks, dude, drafting a long snapper is just a tear. And listen, I mean, this is a team that's rebuilding, dude. Like, just take a shot at any other position, dude. Any other position. So I won't harp on it too much, even though I already did. It's a 7th round pick. I get it, but there's no circumstances where I could have the best roster in the NFL and I still would not take a long snapper.
Character play. It's a locker room guy. It's a guy they want in their locker room. He's a hype man. He's the Brady. He's going to elevate everybody else's play, is what it is.
That's it.
Without him. And then they signed a handful of undrafted free agents. None that stand out a ton. Tight end from Alabama. I've heard of it. And a few receivers. One from Memphis, Eastern Washington, South Alabama. So, yeah, with that in mind, what was your favorite pick for the Patriots?
Has to be the long snapper, right? No, just kidding. Never. I'm going to leave Braden Swinson for you. I'm going to say Kyle Williams in the 3rd round. I think Kyle Williams could be, dude, he has a chance to be. I mean, if Stephon Diggs hasn't stayed healthy the last few years. If he doesn't stay healthy, I could see Kyle Williams being the most productive receiver in this offense next year, which says a lot for a 3rd round rookie. And like you said, separation is king in the NFL, dude. That's the most important aspect of receivers' games in the NFL. Everything else is really just not reliable as far as projecting on the next level, but separation is very reliable, and Kyle Williams is a great separator, so I'll go Kyle Williams in the 3rd round.
Love it. So I'm going to do a 2-parter because you shouted out Mimbu, so I'll shout out both LSU guys. Will Campbell at 4, just doing the thing. It's chalk, but taking Will Campbell to be your shut up about the arm length, shut up about the wingspan. Just take the guy who's a good football player to go be your left tackle, protect Drake May, and then yeah, Braden Swinson in the 5th. That value of a guy who could compete for edge reps day 1 for them. Again, with those things that project well with the pressure rate and everything, and the high PFF grade. So love the Braden Swinson value in the 5th round. Nailed the LSU guys. That's what they did. They nailed the LSU draft picks. So, all right, what does Renee have to say about this class?
Number 1, the number 1 draft class in the NFL. I really can't
with a long snapper and kicker.
Exactly, dude. And you know, that definitely dropped them in a couple rankings just because like the principle of doing that. And who knows, maybe they just wanted to say, hey, we came away with like 8 starters in this draft, and part of that's getting our long snapper and kicker. But I really don't disagree with it. If you just take those picks out, I would have much rather used those on literally anything else. But if you take those picks out, I think they nailed this draft, dude. And such an important draft for the Patriots, man. This was a critical draft for Drake May's development, critical draft for new head coach Mike Vrabel. And I think they just killed it, dude. I really do. I think they came away with some extremely impactful players at extremely impactful positions.
It'll be one of those classes when you look back, they do those and they're like, how many of their starters were? That's what it is. You'll see those two will elevate it by like 50% probably of how many of these guys are still around in 8 years. But they also leave with 10 picks in next year's draft as well. So have draft capital next year, and that's how you build. So you build a roster up with a rookie quarterback. So, and you have the capital to trade for guys. Because now if this next season looks really good for the Patriots, you're in the position on the rookie QB deal to go spend some money on some guys, go trade for some guys, and go try to win something. So love this draft for the Patriots and for Drake May and them kind of getting back on track in the post Brady era. So